So, first things first. Write down the things that we know. So we have an electron and a proton are separated by a distance. So the distance between them, 5.3 times 10 to the negative 11th meters. Next thing, it says, what's the magnitude of the force? So what is the force? If the charge of the proton or an electron is this. So the value for Q1 is going to be my proton. Why that one? Because I decided. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's Q1 and Q2. Doesn't matter. Q1, I'm going to make the proton. So that's going to be a value of 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19th. Notice I did not put positive because positive and negative in equations are directions. So don't plug in charge values here. Don't plug in charge positives and negatives. Q2 is going to be my electron. It also has the same value. So protons and electrons actually have the same strength to them. And notice, again, I did not plug in a negative for Q. Because even though it's an electron, I don't want to call it a direction. So I can't plug it in because the equation will think it's a direction. Okay, so we set this up. F equals K, which is this number here, times Q1, 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19th. Q2, 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19th. Divided by the distance between them, which is 5.3 times 10 to the negative 11th. And that value is squared because of the equation. Now, you definitely need a calculator, so go ahead and get one out. Does anyone need to borrow one from me? It would behoove you to not use your phones. One is you won't be able to use your phones on the test. Anyone else see a calculator? Also, phone calculators are terrible at scientific notation. They're not impossible, but they are just, they are awful. So bad at it. Okay? Anyone need to borrow a calculator? Using a scientific notation one. Graphing is fine. Graphing is fine. Just don't want to use your phone. All right. I'm going to show you how to put these in your calculator. I'm going to show you several different types of calculators so that you can do it correctly. Here's what you have to remember. This is not math. 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19th, that's not math. That's scientific notation. It's a number. Yep. It's not math. It's a number. Okay? So, whatever you do, don't do this. 1.6 times 10 power negative 19. Don't do that! Don't do it. Chances are you'll make a mistake at some point. It's possible to do it this way and do it correctly, but it's not easy to do it this way and do it correctly. So let me show you the correct way to do it so that you can do it the right way. Let's start with Texas Instrument calculators. If you got a TI anything, it doesn't matter. TI graphing, TI super graphing, TI old and busted, it doesn't matter. What you're looking for on TI calculators is this button here, EE. Okay? Mine is a second on the button above the 7. It may be just your button above the 7, but on TIs, it is almost always the button above the 7. So here's how I put this number in. I'm going to set up the whole thing. I'm going to show you how I'm going to put it in my calculator. So I'm going to multiply the top together. So I'm going to put parentheses so that I know I'm putting all the numbers in the numerator here. Okay? I'm going to put the first number here, 9. I hit the second EE. That does times 10 for me. I don't need to put times. I don't need to put 10. I don't need to use the power button. I just put 9, and then I hit that second EE. Puts this on here for me. Now that I've done that, now I'm going to put the power. The power is to the 9th. There it is. That's that first number, 9 times 10 to the 9th. That's it. Now I'm going to multiply it by this next number. So times 1.6. Okay, times 10 to the negative 19th. Here's my second EE. Negative 19. There it is. That's the second number in. Okay, multiplying by the third. Times 1.6. Second EE. Negative 19. End parentheses, so I got them all together. At this point, I could divide out the denominator if I wanted to, but I'm going to do that separately. Gave me 2.304 times 10 to the 28th, and I'm going to save that number. So I multiplied these three together. And when I did that, I got 2.304 times 10 to the negative 28th. All right, that's how you do TIs. Casios. Casios, you're looking for a button that says times 10x. Not 10x, times 10x. So I'm going to put these same ones together. 9. Here's the button I'm looking for right here, times 10x. On Casios, it's usually this button at the bottom. However, instead of saying times 10x, and then here it is, so then it does 9 times 10. I didn't put the times. It did it for me. I don't have to hit the power button. I just put in the value, 9. Now I hit times. Notice that the time is slightly different. It's not significantly, but it is a little bit to show you a difference. Oh, and you know what? I'll put it in parentheses too. Now I'm going to multiply by the second number, 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19th, times the third number, 1.6 times 10x, negative 19. Oh, snap, I got the same answer. Who would have guessed that? However, some of you be saying, hey, I don't have a times 10x on my Casio. Oh, you probably have this button, an EXP. Sometimes the EXP is next to the 7. Sometimes it's next to the 7 if you can't find it. But you do it the same way. Okay? Parentheses. Okay, my first parentheses. 9 times 10 to the 9th times. Don't worry about that. 1.6 times 10 negative 19 times. Keep going. It's just showing you what it's doing as it's going. Okay? 1.6 EXP. Turn it off. Negative 19. Now I'm going to end my parentheses. And there's my number, 2.304 to the negative 28th. Yep. Yep.
Times 9 times 10 to the 9.
Yep.
Divided by 5.3.
I haven't divided this yet.
Oh.
I'm going to do that now. So let's go ahead and divide the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and square the bottom first. So I'm going to do that on this one. 5.3 to the negative 11th squared gives me 2.809 times 10 to the negative 21st. And now I'm going to divide them both out to get an answer. Okay, now I'm going to divide them out. So I'm going to divide my first number, and I stored it in my calculator so I don't have to type it all out. If you want to see how to do that on your calculator, I can show you. And I'm going to divide it by the answer I just got, and I'm going to use the answer button on my calculator, which again, if you'd like to see how to do that on yours, I can show you. And there's the final answer. 8.2 times 10 to the negative 8th newtons. And if you're saying to yourself, man, I'm really glad we won't have to use scientific notation on the rest of these problems. Yeah, you're going to have to do it all the time, so just get used to it. I'm going to come around and see if you're having trouble getting any of these numbers. Before we go on, I want to make sure that you can get these numbers for this first example, because then we got one more problem to do. One more!